Marika here with another card for Create a Smile stamps, and today I'm playing with the glowing Seaside stamp set and some Chibi lights. So this is the dies I'm going to use today. These are A4 dies, so if you're from Europe or you buy your cardstock from Europe, they layer perfectly with the cards you make by kind of folding a half of an A4 together. So I'm starting out with some Copic friendly paper, and I'm stamping with some Copic friendly ink the beautiful fishes from the glowing Seaside stamp set. Then I'm using some Versa Mark ink and some clear embossing powder by Ranger to emboss the little sentiment from the same stamp set on top, which I do with my heat embossing tool. I am going to do some blending on top of all of this, and I'm going to do some Copic coloring for the card. I'm coloring my little jellyfish in some very yellowish greens because I thought they would pop on a dark blue background. And I ended up actually coloring the anglerfish in blues. I looked at anglerfish online, and the different colors that I found was either some kind of brownish or some kind of see-through or this kind of sort of blue. So I chose the blue because I wanted the anglerfish to have some sort of this right color it was supposed to have. And I did the little glow thing in yellow. I have made some masks. These are stamped on Simon Says Stamp masking paper with the same ink as I used for the fishes. I used some My Favorite Things hybrid inks because they work actually both with my Copics but also with blending, so I don't get black marks when I'm blending with distress inks, so the water-based distressings. So then I'm going to do the background. The whole thing behind this card is that I'm going to use some Chibi lights, which is kind of an electronic circuit for cards. I had it for a long time and I really wanted to play with it, and this is the perfect stamp set for that. And I wanted the little angler thingy to light, and I wanted the jellyfish to light, and therefore I want to have a somewhat dark background. So I'm starting with Stormy Sky, which is going to be kind of a lighter color just around the fishes because I want them to also have a little bit of an area around them so they sort of look like they glow on their own already before you actually turn on the lighting system. Then I'm using some Blueprint ink, which I just love. I fall in love with it. When it came out, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna use that blue. It's too purplish blue, but I love this color, especially for like water or for night skies. It's just perfect color. It's perfect deep blue color. And I'm blending. This is Make Your Coffee blending paper. It takes a little bit more blending to actually get the colors to blend than on watercolor cardstock, but I wouldn't be able to use my Copics on watercolor cardstock. So, and also the end result is a little bit different from what you actually see here, because you will see it throughout the video that the colors will kind of deepen and seep into the paper by themselves also, so they will kind of blend afterwards. And I'm using some black soot just on the edges to get a little bit more deepness of that sea. This is my favorite part. This is when you kind of remove the masks and you get to see how your coloring fitted with the rest of the image. I chose to color the Copics before because the Copic could pick up the blue around it and kind of ruin the whole image. Then I'm using some paper to just remove the ink on top of my heat embossing. And now it's time for the Chibi lights. They come in a box like this. You get a little book about how you do your circuits. You can do the circuits in the book and test them out, but then you will use up your electronics. So I just did it myself with my cards. You get 4 different of these. There are actually 3 lights per piece. They have a sticky background. You get 2 batteries and then you get that copper wire. I am going to make my circuit on a spare piece of paper. This is just like ordinary copy paper. And attach it on the back side of it, and then I'm going to attach that whole thing on a card base. So I'm starting out making a little housing. The battery needs a little housing that I'm using, the same cardstock that I'm using for the base. And then I'm adding that battery. I've chosen to have the plus size down towards the card and the minus upwards for me. So you're going to stick the battery into that little pocket at the end. Then I'm going to figure out where I want my lights, and this is why having a white cardstock is really great, because then you can kind of figure out and mark everything with a lead pen or on a pencil. And as you see here, I kind of marking where I want the plus and the minus. And when you do this, when you are marking up, you don't have to actually care about right now where the plus and the minus is. You just have to be consistent when you add your lights, so you know which part goes to which. I'm starting out by cutting my copper in half. You don't need that width of it, so you can use this copper for much longer stripes. You want to have a copper stripe that is long enough to go all the way down to your battery. So start here. Now I'm going to add to the my plus. So I'm going to put that down to the plus sign. I'm drawing it out so it's horizontally, and then I'm folding it over and carefully pinching it a little bit, and then I'm folding it downwards so you get a little mitered corner, you could say. You don't want to cut the copper ever. For your cut the copper for your line. You want to keep it full line so that the current can go in that line without any issue. Then I just burnish it with my bone folder, which make it sit better on the paper and everything. I just really like that. Then I'm going in with the minus part, and this time I'm going on the outside of the other light, because then I can actually fit. Because you can't go over the minus line over the plus line. So if you have 2 circuits like I have, you have to have them going separate. So I put this on the outside instead. I think you can serial or parallel put these two, but I thought this would be easier both for you and for me. So I just make 2 separate circuits using the same battery, which works great. Those batteries can drive several of those lights. So I'm putting the light down there, and then I'm pushing it down. I realized that it didn't sit that well, so after going over it with my bone folder and pushing down that light a little bit extra, it actually sat perfectly. On those lights, the plus side is the wide side, and the minus side is or negative side, or what you would call them, is the smaller side. So that is why it's pointing downwards. Then I'm just doing the same mitered corners on all of my copper, just fixing those and going around to the negative side. You will see later on when I'm putting together the card that I'm putting 3 layers of foam tape just on the inside of this box. Don't matter that you go over with the foam tape on top of the copper, so that you get kind of a little square housing, and that the negative part of my little battery house doesn't push automatically on the battery. Instead, I have a little house that makes it possible for when you actually push on that negative part, on the top part of the house, you will light it up, and it will not sit there and just glow all the time, because if it glows all the time, you will not be able, it won't glow when you give it away. You just want it to glow when you push at it. So I'm cutting the tape in threes, and then I'm actually lining that pocket, and somehow I lost that footage. But I'm lining the pocket on the inside. You can see it a little quickly here, how I have just folded that little piece of paper on top of the 3 pieces of foam tape. And then I've used other foam tapes around to give it the same equal height. I'm going to use the other part of that thing I already had cut out and cut out a frame. I could have done this at the same time, but this is actually several days later when I realized that this is how I want to finish the card, because I just couldn't figure out how I wanted to finish it. I added 3 layers of tape on the back side of that part, and now I'm making a card base. So I'm folding my A4 card base in half because I mostly have inch supplies, and then I cut it at my fold line, and then I fold it in half again, and then I have a card base based on an A4 size, so this will fit perfectly. Then I decided to make it a little bit crooked because I thought that would look great, and I put the frame upside down. But that is okay, it kind of looks kind of cool anyhow. And as you see here, when I push, it lights up. To finish this piece, I used some enamel dots. This is the Ranger enamel. This is the white one. It took me some time to get this, but now I have both the white and the black. I think they are really awesome. But so this is the white one, and I'm making some water bubbles. And it ended up actually that the white water bubbles in the corner is actually where you're gonna push later on to light it up. But yeah, that is the card for today. If you like it, please thumbs it up, it means a lot to me. If you have any questions, just comment down below. Down below you find all the details of all the supplies used. Here are 2 other videos that I made with using some Create a Smile stamps. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!